Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm with Envy Board Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about Sleeping Gods. This is a game where you are going to be adventuring through the wandering sea, okay? And the story is that you are the captain of a manticore, and after 8 years, you receive a telegram from your father saying, "Taken ill, come soon." So you gather your crew and you head from Hong Kong to New York before it's too late to be able to see your father. In the process of your sailing away, you get caught in a storm. And when the storm dissipates, you find yourself in a wandering sea where you are told that these gods have brought you here to help awaken them. And the only way for you to return home is to collect these totems in order to awaken them, and then they will give you the reward of releasing you to go home for helping them to be awakened. All right, so I'm going to teach you guys how to play, but before I jump into that, I just want to say if you guys like the content that we're putting out, I do want to encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video. And with that, I'll jump in and give you a brief overview of how the game works, and then we'll come back and give you my review. Sleeping Gods is an adventure game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Ryan Lockhart, published by Red Raven Games, and plays about 1 to 20 hours depending on the mode in which you play the game. Let's take a look at how it's played. Now for this game, I'm just going to give you kind of a rough overview of how it is played. I've tried to fit as much as I can here on the screen. I obviously did not fit all of the crew members. There are 9 of them, all with their own different special abilities and health and attacks. So I'm just going to kind of give you a rough idea of how the game is played and just kind of show you how simple it is to take a turn, because I know looking at the game that takes up an entire table can be a little overwhelming. So I'm going to focus over here on this shipboard where it's going to kind of take you through how a turn is actually going to work, and then I'll just kind of show off some of the components after I'm done with showing you how a turn works. So let's go over here and look at the shipboard, and I can kind of walk you through a turn. Now on your turn, it's going to be made up of 3 steps. The first one is going to be taking the ship action. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this little guy and you're going to go to one of the different places on the ship. There are 6 different places. However, you can only go to 5. You can never go to the hull here. All right, and each one is going to allow you to do different things. And what's nice about these spaces, no matter where you go, the actions that you get, you can take in any order. You don't have to do it from left to right. You can do it however you want and whatever works best for your game. All right, so let's say I went here to the sick bay. I would be able to grab an ability card. I would then get 3 command tokens, and I would be able to heal one of my crew for 1 health. Or I could heal first and then get the command tokens and then get the ability card. Or you could get the ability card, then heal, and then get the command tokens. Whatever order you want to do it, it doesn't matter. All right. Now, each one is going to work a little differently. So I'm going to just briefly go over each of them and just to kind of let you know how it works. So we already went over the sick bay. Over here, at the deck, you're going to get 2 command tokens. So every time you see that symbol, that's going to mean you're going to get these command tokens, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then you're going to be able to flip over one of these tokens. These are your search tokens, okay? And you can flip over 1, 2, or 3 of them. And depending on however many you flip over, so I can go this one, and I can stop there if I want to, all right? Once I decide to stop, I can choose either reward I want. So I can go with the 1 coin here, or I can get the 2 materials or 2 wheat. However, after I pick one of the rewards, I will then take any damage that is on those tokens. So if they both had damage, I would take both of them. This one just says 2 damage to the ship. Might be a little hard to see there. So I would then place some damage on the ship. And the way that's going to work is you're going to flip over one of these ability cards, whatever the number is, in the top left-hand corner. In that case, a 2. It's going to receive a damage, and then I do it again, a 4. So then that is going to go down here. All right. So that's how that spot works. If a spot ever has all the damage spaces filled up, you cannot go to that part of the ship. Now, if you go to the bridge, you're going to get an ability card. And depending if you're playing 1 or 2 players, you're going to get a certain number of command tokens. So if you're playing, like on this side, it's 1 to 2 player side. The other side of this board is going to be 3 or 4 players. So if I'm playing a solo game, I get 2. If I'm playing a 2-player game, I get 3 command tokens. All right. And then this means that I'm going to return all the command tokens that I have spent, whether that be on adventure cards or on my crew. They're going to go back into the supply because the amount of command tokens that are available are finite, and you may not be able to draw any if you have spent them all on your crew and your adventure board, or cards, I should say. All right, so the next spot we'll talk about are the quarters here. Again, you're going to get an ability card, you're going to get some command tokens, and then you get to return 2 of them that you have put on your crew or your adventure cards back in the supply. All right, and then the last one down here, again, adventure card, again, you're going to get command tokens. And then this symbol here means that I can take one of the ability cards that I have in my hand and I can discard it in order to remove a fatigue from one of my crew. And we'll talk a little bit about fatigue in a little bit. All right. So those are your ship actions. You're going to choose where to go. You're going to do those in any order that you like. And then you're going to go to the event phase. All right. Or the event step, I guess. So this event deck is going to be broken into 3 parts. You're going to have mild, moderate, and like severe events that are going to happen. In each section, there are 6 cards. So the first 6 turns are all going to be pretty mild. Then they're going to get gradually a little bit more difficult decisions. And then more perilous cards are at the bottom. All right, so what you're going to do is you just flip it over and you resolve it. Now, these may be one-time things or they may be ongoing. It just depends on the card that you draw. And there are tons of these in this game, and you're going to be cycling through them. You'll never see, well, at least it tells you to set these off to the side when you create new decks, but I won't get into that too much. Anyway, you're going to have challenges that you may have to do, or you may have some different options you're going to need to make depending on what decisions are given to you. Okay. Now, if you want to do a challenge, so let's say for this one, it says slay the sharks, strength 6. All right. I'm going to talk about challenges in a little bit when we talk about the crew, but I'm going to skip that for now. Okay. So once you resolve that event, then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to take 2 actions. You're going to travel, which is going to be pretty self-explanatory, where you are going to be moving your ship around on the map to get where you're wanting to go. You're going to be able to explore, which is going to be actually exploring one of the numbers where your ship is at and be in that section, and that'll take you to the storybook, and you're going to be able to kind of, you know, do challenges, battle minions. You're going to be able to make some decisions that are going to change the game. All right, so that's going to be something very important throughout this game, is that when you play it, you are literally going to be changing what happens in this world. All right. Another thing is going to be a market. If this symbol is where you are at on the board, you're going to be able to go to the market, where you're going to be able to purchase some additional adventure cards. And then this one here is a port, which again, if there is a city that has a banner and this symbol, you're going to be able to take a port action, which allows you to do all of these things, where you can spend money to heal each crew and remove a fatigue. You can also repair your ship. You can heal your crew if those 2 didn't bring them back to full health. You can also pay to restore all health. And then you can also spend experience points that you're going to get throughout the game in order to buy these abilities for your crew to kind of buff them up and give them some extra added abilities. All right. So you're going to take a ship action, you're going to do the event, and then you're going to take 2 actions. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges and combat and exploring and some of the stuff you're going to encounter. Again, I'm just going to go real brief into it. I won't go too in detail. So now we're going to take a look at the crew. This shows you most of them. I can't fit them all on the screen, but you have a total of 9 crew members. that you're going to be able to be using throughout this game. And depending on the number of players, you're going to have this distributed evenly among them, or as evenly as possible. If you're playing a solo game, you're going to be controlling all 9 of these characters. Okay, and so what you're going to be doing, let's talk a little bit about challenges, because when it comes to challenges, when it comes to fighting and using their abilities, you know, all of this is going to be a lot to keep track of, especially if you're playing solo, but things you're going to need to know when you're playing the game, obviously. So let's say we are doing challenges, right? So let's go back to our little example that we have here, where we did Slay the Sharks Strength 6. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is each of the symbols that these characters have. Here we have strength, we have savvy, we have cunning, we have perception. There's also craft, which is there. I think that covers all of them. But you're going to be using these icons to be able to meet or exceed these challenges that you're going to encounter throughout the game. And throughout the game, you're also going to be able to take those ability cards that you've been getting from visiting the different ship actions, and you're going to be able to buy them using the costs in your command tokens and apply them to these crew members, giving them more symbols for challenges, or maybe even added bonuses for when they're doing combat. Okay, so if you're doing a challenge, you are going to decide who is going to partake in that challenge. And the way you're going to do that is the person that is helping with this challenge. So if we're doing a strength 6 to slay the sharks, you're looking for people that have those strength symbols. So I'm going to choose, you know, who is going to participate. And for everybody that participates in this challenge, they're going to gain a fatigue token for helping. Okay, and after you, let's say I just pick these 3 here, and I have 3 strength symbols in those 3 characters that are helping. Okay, so each character can have at most 2 fatigue tokens, unless they have ability that says otherwise. If they have 2 fatigue, then they can no longer participate in challenges, and also they're going to be less effective when they are in combat because they are fatigued. Okay, so we're trying to slay the sharks, right? We need 6 or higher based on the card that we got. It says 6 or higher, right? So you're going to choose the characters. We got 1, 2, 3. I need to then flip an ability card, and look, we got a 2. Okay, so that's a 5. We're not able to meet that, but I could spend these to help with maybe a redraw. Some adventure cards you get are going to allow you to do that. So I could spend a command token on this card, and then I would leave it there until I'm able to remove it, like from one of the ship actions. And if I do that, I then get to draw another ability card. Let's say we got this one, and now I have 6, which means I successfully accomplished this challenge, and I will get 2 meat for slaying the shark. All right, so you're going to be using these characters throughout the game. You're going to be upgrading them. Each of them can have 2 of these ability cards on them, and you can always discard them at any time. Each of them also is going to have a specific type that it's looking for that it can use in combat. So for instance here, Gregory, he likes the cunning cards because when you're in combat, if you discard any applied cunning cards on him, it's going to add 1 to the damage that he does. And each character is going to have a different symbol, or they might have the same ones. I think each of them have 2, or they each have, there's 2 of each for the symbol, if that makes sense. So like here, he likes to have perception cards. Okay, and as you can see also with these characters, I'll zoom back out, they each have their own different abilities where you're going to be spending these command tokens to do specific actions. You can spend them to get more accuracy, so you're more likely to hit your opponents first, or you can use, you know, their abilities to get rid of weakness or venom, or maybe you're getting rid of frighten, or maybe you are helping get rid of fatigue and healing, or even doing more damage like this one. All right, so that's what's going to be important. You're going to be trying to manage these characters, trying to kind of push your luck a little bit so you don't spend all of your symbols when you're doing challenges. You're also going to be using them in combat. So that's going to be another really big thing, which I'm not going to go too much into really right now. But what you're going to be doing is when you come into combat, I'm just going to show you the number 1 card. I think you battle this person in the very first thing. Sorry if that's a spoiler. But you're going to have these enemy cards, right? And you're going to line them up next to each other to where these little grids are going to line up. All right? And so I'll grab another one just to kind of show you. So you can line these up however you want when you're fighting them. Let's say I do something like this. Okay? And then you're going to have these combat cubes that you're going to be using. Oh, sorry about that. You're going to have these combat cubes that you're going to be using, and you can then place them on these characters in order to have them initiate combat. Okay, so you have 4. Each combat round is going to be 4 rounds of you attacking, and then they're going to have an opportunity to counterattack if you do not take out all of the heart symbols that are on their grid. Now, whenever you're fighting, again, you're going to be looking at a couple different things. You're going to decide who you want to attack, right? And that could be determined by who's more likely to actually hit, because each character is going to have some different accuracy attributes here, which makes them more likely to actually hit first. So with these guys, you have to have at least a 6 or higher accuracy in order to hit them first, or you might miss. Okay, so you pick your character. Let's say we go with Gregory again. You're going to then add his accuracy to a card that you're going to draw. So I got a 4 here. So 4 plus 2 is 6. I met it, so I get to attack first. Gregory does 2 hits. Well, not with these. He's going to do 2 hits. So you're going to put these damage markers. And when you're placing these damage markers, you have to place them orthogonally. You can't place them diagonally. All right. So I'd have to start somewhere, and then going from there, I would then place more. And again, you can spend command tokens to be able to do potentially more damage, or even doing special abilities and kind of triggering them based on the ones that you apply to your characters. Okay. Now, one thing I'll point out here is that if you cover up a section like this one here that has this little diamond, you then get to give your synergy token to another player or another character crew board, right? So for Gregory, he has this little ability. You're then going to choose who to give that to, and they will be able to use it. If they then attack later on, they'll be able to use those synergy tokens. Okay, you're going to keep going back and forth. They'll attack you back, and you can kind of see it's going to be a base attack plus however many. So this guy would hit Gregory for 5, and you'll have some blocks. Okay, I think I'm getting a little too deep, but I just kind of want to show you how it works. Okay, so that's how you're going to be using these characters. That's how you're going to be using them for challenges and for combat. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map and just how everything works when you're going to be traveling and exploring. Now, when you decide that you want to travel, so looking at your board, you're looking at the travel here, it's going to go based off of your crafting symbols that you have. So you can, again, apply crew to see how far you're going to travel, and then after you do that, you will then reveal an ability card and add that to the value, and then you are going to move a certain number of spaces depending on where you end up. So 1, 2, 3, or 4 spaces. All right, the way the board is kind of broken up, or the book is broken up, is going to be these dotted lines and also the spiral bound in the middle. Okay, so if I were to move 3 spaces, going from here to here counts as 1. They are considered broken up with this. Okay, so 1, 2, let's say I was moving 3, right? And I go here, all right? And every time I'm going to be moving through a hazard, if I stop or if I'm moving through, I'm going to be focusing on these hazards here. Okay, so that's again going to be a challenge. If I meet or exceed it, then I avoid the consequences. Here, the consequence would that I would receive 1 ship damage. Okay, so let's say I complete that and I come up here. All right, and that's how traveling is going to work. If I want to move off the page, for instance, let's say I came down here, it tells you to go to page 9. I would then flip to page 9 and continue sailing in whichever direction I choose. If you were to ever come onto a page, let's say I came up from 9, I get to choose whichever way I want to go. So I can either go here or here. It's totally up to you. You get to make that decision if it is split into multiple sections of the sea. All right, so that's how traveling is going to work. And then exploring is going to be very simple as well. So right here, let's say I want to explore number 2, then you're going to grab your storybook. All right, you're going to flip to the number 2 and you're going to read what it has, and you're going to be making decisions and completing challenges and possibly combating different creatures that you're going to encounter. All right, so that's pretty much it. As you can see, I kind of talked a little bit about these different symbols when I talked about going to the market. Right there's the market symbol, and right there is a port symbol. Okay, so it's going to be pretty simple moving around and then just kind of exploring wherever you want. You can go anywhere in this game. It doesn't really matter. You're going to find something to do no matter where you go. All right, so I think that covers everything. I know I kind of rushed it a little bit. I didn't want to kind of bog you guys down if I could help it, but you're going to take a ship action, you're going to take the event card, and then you're going to do 2 actions. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back up top and I'll give you guys my review. All right, and so with my review, first, obviously, it's just me today. Samantha has not played Sleeping Gods. This is a game that I was able to play with some friends of mine, and as well as play and complete a campaign of solo as well. So I wanted to do this review. I was able to be lucky to get a copy of the Kickstarter edition at Gen Con this last year of 2021, and was able to actually get it played at multiplayer as well as at solo. And so something that I took from this game, I haven't been around a lot of Ryan Laukat games. I have played a little bit of Near and Far. I never played all the way through it. And so this was a little bit more appealing to me. The theme was a little bit more appealing to me. I like that idea of, sailing around and exploring these different areas and how the maps were connected. And I don't know a ton about, above and below or now or never. But this theme just kind of struck me a little bit more. Like I said, I've played Near and Far. I thought it was a good game. But this whole theme of, trying to collect these totems to awaken these gods and everything was just more appealing to me. So when I had the opportunity to get a Kickstarter edition of the game, I did jump at that opportunity as soon as possible. Just because even when I saw it on Kickstarter, I was always like, oh, I should back it, and I never did. And after that, I regretted it. So the moment I came across one at Gen Con, I was able to get it and was very happy that I did. And so something I really liked about this game was that it was, a cooperative game, which I know Near and Far, you're competing to put out those camps and everything, playing that way. I haven't tried the arcade version of Sleeping Gods, but I do look forward to doing that. So I'm just going to jump in here and kind of give you my pros and cons. So I'll start with the pros. The pros are I really like this as a solo game, and the reason why that is because one, you do have control of all of the characters, right? So in a 2, 3, 4 player game, you're breaking up the crew into different groups, which is great. But a lot of times I feel like then you're consulting with everybody, and some people might want to do different things. I do like it better at, lower player counts, because with more players, I feel like it really does kind of slow the game down a little bit. Yes, you're still just doing the action, the event, and the the ship action, the event, and the 2 actions that you get to take. However, people may want to do different things, and you're kind of, compromising. Whereas if it's just you or one other person, you guys can kind of agree on where you want to go and, just take off. I enjoyed playing it solo. I enjoyed playing it with multiple players. I just felt like with these kinds of games also, if you're taking people in and out, I prefer to just have the same group playing. And if it's solo, I always have the same group playing. So I really liked it being a solo game. I really enjoyed that. This is one that I look forward to going back and playing more solo. But I really liked the decisions that you make in the game. I really liked how simple the turns were. Move the little guy around the boat, take the actions, do the event, do your 2 actions, right? Pretty simple, pretty easy. But I love the decisions that you're making. Like, you can literally go in any direction and do anything that you want to do. And the quests I do during my first campaign might be completely different from the quests that I do in the second campaign. I shouldn't say will be different, because I didn't even get close to covering maybe even half of the map. And so I really, really am looking forward to going back and exploring the extra portions that I didn't get to, just because you're going 3 times through that event deck and then the game is going to come to an end. And so I really enjoyed the different little quests and stories and people that you meet, and I like how your decisions really impact what's going on in the Wandering Sea. You might make a decision that wipes out an entire port or an entire camp, or you might make a decision that destroys something that you might have needed for another quest, and you're literally going to be changing the landscape of what you're doing to where if you ever were to return to that area, it's no longer there. It's no longer available. Something crazy happens, right? And so I really enjoy that decision because I make this decision. It might have lasting effects, on what I can or can't achieve later on. But I really liked how it literally does change the game based on the decisions you make. And so it makes me think of those, adventure, choose your own adventure books, where you get the different endings based on the decisions you make. And the same case is here. When you're making these decisions and you're going out and trying to find these totems and complete these quests and get these items, I really liked that, at the end, there are 13 different endings, I believe. And so based on what I did and how I did it, I'm going to end up in a completely different ending every single time I play this campaign. So I really like the story. That's a huge bonus. I love just taking my time reading through it and seeing the crazy things that are happening. And it seems like every single quest felt, maybe not every single quest, but a lot of the quests I felt like were pretty epic quests. Like, were leading you to different areas and you were seeing and hearing cool things that were happening in this world that Ryan Lockhart created, which was just crazy. I'm kind of mind blown just at how much went into this game, whether it be the story, the art, the mechanics, how everything works so well together. Just kind of really blows me away. One thing about what I really liked when it came to mechanics was I already talked about how simple it was, but I also really liked that crew, being able to kind of craft up your crew and build them up with those ability cards, being able to buy, different weapons and different adventure cards that you can use to kind of build up your little market cards that you're going to be able to spend those command tokens on, getting different special abilities, maybe bulking up one person with a specific symbol, and they can really go crazy when it comes to savvy challenges or strength challenges. I really like kind of customly creating your crew to build off of one another and being able to use those strategies and those abilities when it comes to combat so that you can use those synergy tokens and how they play off of each other. I think that's really, really awesome just how that all works. And I really like that, you can constantly be changing and switching out those cards that you have in order to, change their abilities or change their weapons, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I really like that. I like the use of those ability cards where you're using them for challenges. You're using them to determine accuracy, to see if you attack first. You're using it to travel. And so there's just so much going on with those cards. They're so useful and so interesting. I mean, you can even get rid of them to help with those challenges as well. I don't know if I mentioned that in the teach video, but being able to use those hands of cards to help complete those challenges. So I really like the card usage. I really like just the mechanics involved in the building of your crew. So really a lot of super exciting stuff in this box. And I mean, that doesn't even include the Kickstarter stuff and the runes expansion, the tides of runes, runes of tides, something like that, and then the dungeons and the arcade that I haven't been able to get into. But just doing the campaign, I feel like there's so much stuff there, so much replayability. I might go and make completely different decisions based on what I want to accomplish. And so so those are some really strong pros. I really enjoyed the game. I don't play a lot of story-driven games. It would be Sleeping Gods, another one I mentioned Near and Far, but also Seventh Continent. And I really put this one up there with Seventh Continent. I actually probably like this story more than Seventh Continent, but they're very similar. You're kind of in Seventh Continent, you're trying to cure this curse. Here, you're trying to collect these stones so you can go home, kind of thing. And so there is a goal to eventually leave this area, but you have to do something in order to fix a problem in order to leave, right? I'm trying not to spoil too much of what's in the story as you're exploring. So a lot of really good pros. I really enjoyed just the give and take, the command tokens, the fatigue, all the stuff that can happen to you, even the using of recipes and the adventure cards and kind of collecting these different goods, and it's so cool just how all of this comes together and seems very overwhelming, but relatively simple. I mean, this is definitely a table hog. You get a lot of stuff out there and there's a lot kind of going on, but it's relatively simple. I think once you get started and you understand, I'm just doing this on the boat, I'm just doing this card, and I'm taking 2 actions. That's it. It's not really too difficult. There's some little rules when it comes to combat or this or that or whatever, but all in all, it's really relatively easy to get into. I think once you play it for a few rounds, you'll get the hang of it. So with cons for the game, one thing I kind of the game comes with these log sheets, right? So you can keep track because you can save the game and then come back and play it again. However, I used the log sheets the first campaign that I was trying to go through, and I just felt like I couldn't fit enough information on my log sheet. And so when I went back through it again and I played solo, I actually went on to BGG and I downloaded and printed off this like 15-page map with every single map individually that had a line where I could write things out. Because, as I'm going through, I'm like, what did we do there? What did we do there? And they have like suggestions on how you mark the map about keywords and things that you don't need to go back to. But I wanted a little bit more detail. So I went and I printed this off because I could actually write out, the keyword that I used there, the quests that I got, maybe the rewards that I got, what happened, just so that when I save it and I come back, I can kind of refresh my memory of what's all happened. So I don't really care for the log sheet too much, but I do. I would recommend going onto BGG and downloading the Wandering Seas map that they have on there, just so you can actually keep it written down. And also I think it'll just help like future games, because I ultimately want to explore everything and kind of know that I've visited every spot. Granted, that's going to take a while, because if I showed it to you, I don't have a ton of it explored, but I'm excited to kind of fill up this whole sheet and see what this entire world has to hold. So yeah, I really enjoy that. Oh, one pro I did want to share was I love that at the end of your campaign, right, you're going to tally up the different totems, and depending on how many you collect, you're going to unlock quests that you can't get to unless you complete the campaign, right? So unless you complete a campaign and you collect a certain number of totems, they're going to unlock these quest cards that are going to change. You're going to have a whole new quest that you're going to be going after when you go to back to play it again, right? And you're just going to unlock more and more and more stuff and get more things and go in different paths. So infinite replayability with this game. So back to cons. One con I will say, I know I said I prefer it with one, but I will say you are keeping track of a lot of stuff. Like one player, you have 9 characters, and this character might say, oh, when you visit the deck, do this. This character might say, oh, when you visit the sick bay, do this. And so you're kind of having to remember all these different little special abilities for 9 different characters, and trying to make sure you know all the abilities that are available to you. So it can get a little overwhelming in that sense. It's like, oh, I have to manage 8 people, and how do I do it? So that I guess is a con. I will say you are going to have a lot of stuff to manage as a solo gamer, but it's still super fun. I still prefer it at that level, with just one player. Another con I would say is probably just putting the game away. I felt like if you're playing with different people and you save the game, you got to bag everybody up individually and put all the pieces in there together. And yes, the log helps a little bit, but then kind of trying to store it all in a certain place, I just found it difficult to actually store saving it and putting everything back in the box. I don't know if that's because I have the Kickstarter version or not, but you are able to. It's just not the best system when it comes to that. So I guess that is a con as well. But just looking at the gameplay itself, it's a very solid game. One that I had a ton of fun with. Just being able to sit down, and I would just play for hours and hours, and I'd leave it set up, and I'd come back the next day and I'd play it even more. And it was a blast. I was so excited. Even having my 5-year-old, he was always super excited to hear about the story and watching me fight these different monsters and stuff that comes up. And it was just so much fun to play the game. So yeah, I will kind of try to cut it short here a little bit. I know I've been kind of randy on and on, but I think it's clear I really love this game. This is such a good game. I know I mentioned a few cons, but those are really, really, really minor things. But overall, this game is top notch. I can't fully compare it to Near and Far or Above and Below or Now or Never, but I don't know if I'll ever get any of the other ones because I like this game that much. And so when I was thinking about rating it, I was like, man, this is going up and up and up every single time I play. And for me, the score for this is definitely a 9.5. This is a top-notch game. This is one that if you like those story-driven games or if you like adventure, I would highly recommend going out and getting a copy of it. Even if I think you just get the base game and not the Kickstarter edition, you are going to have so much content to play through. And it is so good. It's just so exciting, the different quests that you get to go on, and you do a lot. Like I wasn't anticipating how many quests I would be fulfilling and doing and all the things I would learn about this world, and man, it is so good. It gives me a sense of excitement every single time I play it. The theme is amazing. Everything feels so streamlined. It sings. It really does sing. If you're a solo gamer, this to me is a must-have solo game. I'm not huge fans of it at higher player counts. I think it kind of slows the game down, but I really, really recommend if you're doing 1-2 player, this is great, and really kind of hits the sweet spot for me. But a 9.5, this game is phenomenal. I think I didn't really know when people were like, oh, this is like his top of the line game. Like, this is his best game that Ryan Laukait's ever put out. And I can't say that because I haven't played all of his games, but I having played it, I'm like, this is pretty good. So I know how much all of his other games are loved, and I really like this. And I know I rated this pretty high. I can't remember what I had it in my top 100, but I can see this moving up. This is something that is a lot of fun to play. So highly, highly recommend it. 9.5 for me. It's so good. So I'll leave you guys with that. That is Sleeping Gods. Try it out, before you buy it if you want, but I definitely think you cannot go wrong with this game. This is one that I look forward to playing, and I want to see all 13 endings because it's that exciting to play. I love it, and that is Sleeping Gods. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.